Final session before our break, they want to introduce themselves through their own work. So please welcome Joe Morse and the two Craigs.
So, as this is a visual presentation, we are going to start visually. Welcome. So what you just saw was 12 seconds of 112 images, the result of a mad experiment. Simply put, it was a profound and inspirational journey for these two. They discovered the visual is secondary to coming up with a solution. And the real work and the real story is behind the work. But first, we should introduce ourselves. I'm Joe Morse. I'm an illustrator, an educator, and I'm the moderator, maybe just a really interested party in this, and I'm also from Toronto, Canada. Now, some of you may know the man behind the PMS chip, Craig Frazier, illustrator, and some of his work. And he lives 500 miles from here. I still win, but. And I think you might know this Craig's work as well, Craig Cutler, photographer, and his work. And Craig lives here. Okay, the project, this insane thing they did. It starts with a simple premise. Respond to a single word prompt. We're getting that word a lot. How hard could it be? Yeah, just a weekly deadline for 52 weeks. The rules were no nonsense simple. 1 word per week. 52 weeks, no talking, no do-overs, and then the prompt. So each week they received a word. Craig F, I'm going to use Craig F and Craig C, make my life easier. Where did these words come from?
So Craig and I wrote down 52 words each, emailed them to a third party, she printed them out, and once a week picked out 1 word from the Pyrex and emailed us that word.
Okay, let's get into this. So we're gonna lay out a bit so we want you to understand what game they're playing, because you're gonna play it as well. So week 1, screw, the noun.
I think that was your word.
Are you on?
Oh. The funny part was that by halfway into this project, we didn't know whose word was whose word.
Yeah, they could blame each other. Week 2, liquid. Week 3, string. So at this point, they have cautious optimism. From my standpoint, I think careful is maybe a better way to describe these first 3 weeks. Okay, it's luck of the draw, but the first 3 weeks were nouns, and they're easier to picture. And I think this was a stroke of luck, but also it was a problem because I think they were sort of walking around sort of carefully around each other, like sort of prize fighters in a ring. And I wanted to ask them, were you maybe too aware of the other Craig?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it became like just kind of a fun little start, and then it got very serious very quickly, where we, were trying to outdo each other and not know what the other one was doing, but we're trying to get into each other's heads. Yeah.
Yeah, from the beginning, what you have to understand is we had no idea what we were doing.
That's true.
I mean, just literally no idea. And the only thing I didn't want to do was embarrass myself. And I thought there was a pretty good chance that might happen.
That's true.
Did I?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay, one of the ways they had to experience this was they couldn't look back. The pace of this project meant that you can't worry about it. There's another prompt coming. There's another week coming, and you got to keep going. Okay, in week 4, they got pattern. Yes. Not a noun. Well, okay, it's a noun, but it's an adjective. And it's also has deep visual well to draw from. So let's see what they did. Now they're very diverse. We have Craig Frazier with a meticulous drawing. And what was your waffle count, Craig Cutler?
I bought 3 waffle makers and made like 100 waffles. Yeah. And
So, being an illustrator, I always think those photographers, they just have to, get the shot. This proves this one a little wrong. The next one, week 5, was green. Another great word for images. And another diverse answer. And to me, this is when they started to look at the problem to solve and not the solution that they'll make. So was there a conscious shift in your approach at this point?
I mean, definitely, because it was after this week, we're just thinking like, oh God, we're doing exactly what we shouldn't be doing. We should try to do something that is unexpected. So we started to push to different directions, pretty much. And while we're doing that, we still didn't know what either one of us is doing. We just had these talks on the phone all the time, but we were like, still not knowing what the other person's doing. Yeah.
And by the way, the talks were only post-image. We never talked when we got the word.
No.
We couldn't talk during the week. We could only talk about the image after we had done it. It did start to change this one, and I don't know what happened. I think we both kind of felt like we were doing the designer thing, and we were like making this work that was supposed to perfectly communicate. I mean, it's what we're trained to do, and it's what we do, but this project was not about that. It was about seeing what kind of portals we could find in our own process to kind of dig into a different way of thinking about things.
And the funnest part was once we got the word, it was like this first day and a half it's the thinking part. To me, it was all about the thinking, the execution, the sketching. It was just a formality. But the best part was once we got the word, we're like little, dogs getting a bone. It was just like, let's go. So.
All right, so it's game on. And I really want you, the audience, to play the game. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at a couple of their spreads, and we're going to ask you to just yell out prompts. So just maybe give us 3, and we'll see if we can solve some of these. You got it? Okay, fly, yes. Let's make it a little bit tougher. How about this one? Okay.
I think they're all on the website.
Yeah, well, but I know. Oh, yeah, actually, could we have people who didn't go to the website and didn't look these? Okay. For the math lovers? Okay, okay. Now, if you get, this one you've obviously, if you can get this one, come on. Because this is more of an effect than a thing. Okay. There obviously, we have genius level audience here. So, okay. So, we want to look at some of these images a little bit in depth quickly. And so this one is What Are the Chances, which is, I think, also a great name for a game show. And this might be one of the entrants. Okay, what was the prompt for this one? What do you think? What's the prompt? Lemon? Okay, the prompt for this was fruit. Okay, so I would like, what happened when you saw these for the two of you?
I'm always like more excited when we were at two different places, and so when I saw this together, I was like, ah, damn, you did the lemon.
You did the lemon.
So yeah, but I mean, it's interesting because some of them we look like we cheated or something, but we really didn't. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was a total surprise, obviously, and it blew me away I mean, fruit could have been 10 different things. And the fact that we came up with this and there's relationships going on here, it was a little bit creepy.
Yeah.
I think we were kind of thinking that somebody was,
But yeah, I mean, the other thing is you're just at your little desk drawing.
and you're just behind a little camera. It's so,
And I'm like,
photography was
I'm
so,
food
we go.
stylist,
I
I'm
have
schlepper,
to
I'm
draw these things, I have to think of them.
Okay,
You just take-
listen, I thought I should sit between them. All right. So let's go this one. So this is week 46. And okay, good luck with this, the prompt for this one. What do you think? Honey? Not honey. Not honey. Not honey.
What was it?
What else? Liquid gold. Nice. I thought maybe drip, sticky, I don't know, gloopy, thick. Thick. And they both, yeah, I know. And they both came up with this. So I wanted to ask Craig, the photographer, how he made this image, but Craig, the illustrator, said, I drew this, right? So, but Craig, how did this happen?
Well, that's just basically what I do is I'll come up with 5 or 6 different sketches of different ideas, and this is the one that I thought would be the most interesting. So it's just me pouring honey on a mirror, and I was holding the trigger with one hand and being food stylist with the other, because all these I've done, there's nobody there. It's just me in the studio. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's important as well. These were not large productions. This was all on you.
No, there's no large production.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the relentless pursuit of an idea, and I wanted to ask both of you, I know you both have full-time day jobs. So how did you fit this project into your life?
Absolute priority. This was an absolute priority, this project.
Oh yeah, yeah. If I was working that week or something, this was priority one. It was like, and if I had a job, I'd do this at the end that night or something. But it was like the most important thing of the week, for sure. Yeah, it wasn't work though. It was just pure fun. Yeah.
It seems in a way that there was an obsession to this.
There was an obsession, and it got worse and worse through the project, where it got almost like scary. Yeah.
You're looking at everything
Yeah.
for an
And
opportunity.
again, it was like we had we didn't know what this was for. There was no purpose for this project.
Yeah, none.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no client here.
No, that was the best part, but yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely better.
All right, we're going to move on. This is a beautifully poignant piece, and it works from my standpoint because of it being completely opposite approaches to the solution. So just as a hint for folks out there, one is an idiom and one is a memory. But what do you think the prompt is for this? Any ideas?
Good point.
Point? No?
No.
Silence. I'm going to give you that. It's quiet. Very good. How did each of you see this one?
I wrestled with this one because it's an adjective, and so it's. I mean, what is quiet? It's not a thing, and so I wrestled with it. And I kept processing, quiet as a mouse, It was so quiet. And I just said these things in my head, and I suddenly said, it's so quiet you could hear a pin drop. And I thought, well, that's a good drawing then. So it's a two-step thing. Once I had that, then I thought, well, that'll be fun to draw that.
I went a different route. I went back to when I was an altar boy in church, and when we had to put the candles out at the end of the service, and I was like nervous as hell, and you're trying to snuff them out, and that moment was what I thought about. It was like that quietness once the candles are out. So,
It's great. The stingy and the spare. This is a quote from Craig F. He was describing himself as stingy with line and Craig C. as spare with light. I think this particular piece is a great example of these two. If I had to sort of describe what an illustrator and a photographer is, I could use this slide. This is my favorite image. It shows visual economy and simplicity meeting unerring design clarity and elegance. Glass never looks so good. I just gave it away. Why did you choose this approach? Let's go with Craig.
This one was absolutely like defensive designing. I knew Craig was going to do something like that. I knew it. This is his wheelhouse. He's like, it was probably your word too, I bet.
yeah, we'd have these conversations while we're working on this, and you said oh, you got this one. It's so easy for you.
Yeah, it was. And this, that's how easy it is.
Yeah.
So I knew you were going to do that, and I thought, well, the last thing I want to do is try to draw anything realistic, because it's never going to look right. And so I kept thinking about what is glass, how can I represent it, and I love this sort of graphic style of drawing, but I'll tell you where the image came to me. I was seeing a screening of the Brian Eno documentary. If any of you have seen it, it's fantastic, and he's talking about problem solving, and the image came to me. It just came to me completely visually. It's like, I'm going to do this pictogram, and what makes it work is to be able to break it, and then what is that language like? So that was where that image came from, and I felt like it was a good defense of what Craig was going to do, and he did exactly what I thought he'd do.
Yeah.
and done in graphite.
But simple is hard. Your drawing is just insanely perfect. I mean, it's everybody thinks that's easy. That's so not.
That's done in graphite.
Yeah.
It's done in graphite. So simple is good, and that's actually Craig Cutler's adage. And what we wanted to do is have each of them talk about two of their favorite images. So Craig, tell us about your favorites.
Okay. Well, this is an easy one. This is our dog Joe. It's a Vizsla who travels everywhere with me and my wife. We go everywhere with this wonderful dog. So my wife didn't know, but when she was away, I dragged the chair out to our backyard. That's a Papa Bear chair. It's a very expensive German chair. And the shot with natural light in my backyard, and I got our dog Joe to jump up in it. So to me, it was like a win-win. It's like the perfect dog and the perfect chair. That's about it.
Awesome. And this one?
Well, this one is, I was kind of channeling, I don't know if you're familiar with Joseph Sudek's work, in the 20s, and a Czechoslovakian photographer who, he did, some commercial work, and his stuff would be forks or pans or something. His commercial work was where he'd do, line things up. And, this is way before, anything digital. So I wanted to kind of play with that. And so this is actually one shot. There's nothing repeated. So I set this up in my studio. I like the idea of this pattern.
Do you want to talk about my drawing?
What's that?
Don't you want to talk about my drawing?
About what?
My drawing.
No, sorry.
No. A sign, not a destination. These are Craig Frazier's favorites.
Does anybody know the word?
Red.
Red, yeah. So It's interesting, there's a bunch of sort of word plays in here, because we have digits, and then we have, well, it's not digital type, but it's type. This drawing came out, I did this drawing, we were traveling in Japan, and this drawing came to my mind, and I did it in my sketchbook. This idea of letters exploding out of a book. And then when we got the prompt, I said, well, I already have this done, I just have to make it red. So there was nothing and then after I finished it, I said, well, it's red, and it's a book that has been read. And then Craig's hand, keep in mind, what I was aware of, because I would put these together, as a spread, I always knew that Craig is going to do this big, luscious, full image. And so as the designer in me wants to punctuate that and do something that feels like it breathes differently. So they always kind of tended to bookend well. This one, just like the fingers are coming out of the book. So that's it's a long answer, sorry.
And this one?
This is a softball. Everybody knows what this one is, right? Okay, it's time. It was so easy that it got really hard, because time is, there's time pieces and then there's time. And so I think what I did is I love the shape of the hourglass. It's really simple. This is just cut out of paper. So I would get this idea, and then I produced it in about 10 minutes, just really quickly. Just didn't want to belabor it. And what I love about this is what happened here is that what I like to do is, in any of my illustrations, I like to take something the way you expect to see it and twist it just a little bit, just alter it just enough that you have to do a second look at it and go, oh, that's not what I thought I was going to see. And so I looked at this and I go, I put a face in a timepiece, and Craig put a timepiece in a face.
Yeah. It also should be noted that at this part of the project, we're doing three different ideas.
Yeah.
We're not just doing one. Now we're submitting 3 or 4 ideas a week, and they're all different. And we just up the game where we're not just doing one idea.
So I don't think we show it here, which is why you will be able to eventually see that. We'll get to that point. But I think you also did an hourglass, and then I did it.
Yeah.
And I did a clock in another one.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so I think what I'd like to do is let's return for a moment to how the project worked. So you received this word at the beginning of the week, but how did the image share on Friday work? Craig F.
So usually about Thursday, was it Thursday or Friday, I would text Craig and I'd say, pencils down.
You're always ahead. You're always I'm done, And I was like, I'm not done,
Well, so I would text him and I would say, okay, done, and I'd wait 2 or 3 days, and he'd then come up with his image, and he would text it to me, and I had already laid out the page. So I'd have mine on the left, and there'd be a hole on the right, waiting for Craig's image, as usual. And he would send it to me. I would take a screenshot, throw it into the layout, and take another quick screenshot of the spread, and text it right back to Craig, instantly. And these are our exchanges. This is the level of conversation that took place.
It was very minimalist
And
talking,
sometimes we'd pick up the phone, but usually we wouldn't. It'd be the end of the day, Friday, and we'd say, go have a cocktail, have a good job.
So at this one,
so
folded, you're digging
hang
in
on a
more.
second. So then, just as part of our commitment, we would then put this we built a website, and so we'd upload that right away into the website, and by next Monday morning, that word would appear, and what would also appear, next slide, I think, or do we pass it? Yeah. We would also, each of us would write a passage of what was on our mind, and submit our sketches. So those are all on the website. So we would do all that on that Friday, and then we'd get our new word. I'd email our third party and say, we're ready.
And at this time, we had like a following of like 4 people watching, look at the site.
Oh, it was
There was nobody looking.
Yeah,
It didn't
nobody-
matter.
no,
Yeah.
Okay. Think drawing. So there was a really important practice that you both shared, and that's drawing. And so every idea began on paper. Craig Cutler, what role did sketching play in this project?
Well, my background is first is going to be industrial design, then I went into graphic design. And so to me, the drawing process is the most important part of anything I do because it allows me to think through it's like a mental thing. It's like I envision what the shoot's going to be like, and I can draw something and decide whether it's going to work or not. And many times it won't work, or I just say, no, that's not going to be worth shooting. So to me, it's my way of executing the job through my head, or what the project is, and it's the most important part to me. Yeah.
So we're going to look at some of the sketches.
Yeah. And I use different mediums just because I like playing with. It's like a kid with crayons. I like I'll do charcoal. I'll do this. So
Can you go back to that one for a second? I do want to comment on this. When I saw this sketch, I was just blown away. It's all there. It just telegraphs instantly what you were going to do, obviously what your vision and plan was. But I mean, it's like, I've worked with a lot of photographers in my career, and very few of them can draw anyway, and very few of them have their own ideas, and I'm not trying to put them down. It's just the way the profession works. He doesn't work that way. And this is just a perfect example of, like, you obviously saw that in your head and just put it on paper.
no, to me, it's the favorite part of the project is the idea.
Yeah. Like, again, even just drawing smoke and then shooting it. And again, it was like, do you not have like a sketchbook? You usually seem to draw on anything. It's nice. Okay. With a recent monograph, which is there's going to be a signing afterwards, publish your work titled Drawn, the sketchbook, Craig Frazier, is your oxygen. So take us through some of yours.
Who knows this word?
What's the word?
What was it?
Remember it?
What's that? Tired? Tired. Tired, yeah. Sleepy? What do you do when you sleep? Dream. Yes.
It's dream. So I think this is, I don't remember where it was in the word, but we were getting farther out there, and there's icons that I've used all the time in my illustration that I love and I go back to. But I'll just dissect the word, and I say, well, dream is obviously, it's just seeing when you're sleeping. It's what you see when you sleep. And so if you take that and diagram those words, you see with an eye and you sleep horizontal, and then, I mean, it's quite obvious. Then you just put it together. Who knows this word?
Good luck. What's with this word?
I don't remember.
Crack?
Correct. Yeah. This word is strength.
That's right.
And the interesting thing is, again, this is when we started really getting into it. I started thinking, what is it that I want to draw? And I would like reverse engineer this thing. Now, the egg has shown up 2 or 3 times, I think 3 times in this project. And so this is a little bit of of what's starting to happen. We're starting to kind of influence each other in certain ways. And this certainly compositionally is not unlike a photograph that Craig would take. But anyway, I thought that this is such irony, because the egg, you think that the strength is in the concrete block, but it's not. Its strength is in the egg, and the egg will actually support that. The physics of it actually work.
I also think it's amazing that most of those were in that, you had one book, right? There's one diary of all the illustrations. The stitching.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I talked a little bit about this one, but the one reason I want to put this up is because this is the idea of when I'm sketching and I'm trying to find the solution, this is a perfect example of a joke that's overtold, because you have the guy on the top and then you have the guy on the bottom. It's like you're already exhausted by looking at it. There's no surprise in it. So part of my sketching is to see what doesn't work and then keep what does work. And so this was just a matter of simplifying it.
And I also think it's interesting that some of your rough sketches are, I love them much better than your finals, because they had there's so much energy in them, and it's just like we always had those conversations.
And then I just exhaust it out of it when I finish it.
Exactly.
So going from telling maybe too much to telling very little, right?
Yeah, you just said what I was going to say.
Sorry.
I think I should, no. I think the drawing on the left is what I should have published. Right? I mean, this is this idea. To me, this is up there with your folded one. When you can underdraw something so much that it says so much with so little. And I like the drawing of the pin on the right. It was a fun drawing and exercise to make. But I think as a concept, it's like the little sketch. Why didn't you tell me to use that?
Sorry.
Well, we didn't talk. We never did that.
Nope.
But,
yes.
but the mind game started getting pretty intense at the end of this project. 'Cause
Yeah.
we're like, who's thinking what? And like, I didn't want to embarrass myself with a bad picture and all that stuff. Yeah.
Okay, so this is from Craig Cutler. Learning and relearning to use and trust your mind's eye. So what did you mean by this?
I mean, just go with your gut. I mean, like most of the time, your first image, or your first idea is probably still going to be your best idea. So that's to me is like, I tell students like, don't beat it to death. Don't overwork it. Just go. I always say like, go with the idea you think you want to do, and then live with, go down with it if it's good or bad, but don't mediocre, that's the problem to me in like the business today is like, when you have like 6 people like analyzing whatever image you're done, and I think it gets watered down, and and everybody's a little bit happy, but it's not a great image. So it's go with your gut, and that's always gonna be your best thing.
So you see, we've gone through some of these, and again, I think in some ways it's like coming up with your own prompts is also a really fun part of the game. This one especially is sort of a study in silhouette and absence, and then expressive detail. The prompt is dark. So we're going to, again, just look through some of the sketches. And so, Craig, this is from you. Sketches are the shorthand between problem and solution. So let's maybe look at some of these that were probably maybe not the sketch is quick, but the execution certainly wasn't. You know what the prompt is? What do you think? Cutting cheese. What if you have a cheese that is kind of, or cottage cheese, sharp?
That is sharp cheese, though.
Yeah. There's our effervescent. And 7-Up has 7 bubbles on the label. These are Craig Cutler's, as he said, he sketches everything. Is that on a business card?
No, that's Michael Rylander, our good friend who introduced us together. He's a great designer, and he sent those to me, and he sent me a whole box of these pieces of paper, so I use them to sketch on. That's all.
The finish line. All right, they got there. It's 52 weeks. This has been a marathon, right? This is awesome. When you finish the marathon, you cross the finish line, you fall on the road, you're begging for water. Yeah, no. Like any great rock and roll duo, these two decided that they would do some encores.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, we were addicted at this point. So it was like, we didn't know what to do with ourselves after it was over, so we asked for more words.
Okay, we're going to look through these last images, and I want you, these last four, I want you to explain, like, why didn't you put your pencils and camera down? Why did you keep going?
I didn't want to stop, actually, and it was like, then we like, it was just, you know, we after a year of doing this, it felt like just like it was part of the week, really.
It was totally part of the week, and it was just, it ended up, it's like going to the gym. It was partially just, you know, I don't want to stop doing this because I might stop thinking, I might stop having ideas. And it was such an invigorating reassurance that we still had gas in the tank, you know, that you still had ideas. And we were truly having fun doing it. I mean, it was really a visual conversation between the two of us, whether we ever talked to each other or not. It was just this ping pong thing that was going on. And I think Joe had asked me once before, he said, you know, were you guys competitive? And I said, I would settle for a draw, but I didn't want to lose on one of these. I would not want to lose. And there was never a sense of winning, but there was always a sense like, did I step up enough on it? And this is a good image here to talk about what you did, for instance. It was so different.
Yeah, to me, it wasn't about photography. It's just, you know, to me, the rabbit ears, it was I just wanted to do kind of an institutional picture. So, you know, I didn't want it to be glamorous. I just wanted it to be very, very graphic.
Does anybody here know what those are?
Yeah. I've seen them. This is the last image. So we've already given away the prompt because of the cheese. But I guess one of the things is, what do you leave this project with?
Here we go. To me, it's like it dusted off the thinking for me. It's like I feel like the year was, it's like kind of like, it's very inspiring to be able to start thinking much more than you know, 'cause I felt like I was back in school, really. It's just like, but in a better place, you know, so, yeah.
Yeah, I felt like it started to make it clear to me how complicated client work is. Mm-hmm. That you have all these external influences that have already contaminated the water before you get to the problem sometimes. You know, how you have clients that say, oh, just, you know, we don't have much money too, by the way, and, you know, there's going to be these people looking at it, and just like, don't possibly do that. So you've already got these constraints, and that's okay. I mean, we all do that. That's what work is about. But when you start to take those away, you start to feel some other elevation of this liberation. Now, me as an illustrator, and I think, Craig, you probably did this too, I'm speaking for you, but we're aware of we have stylistic approaches, and we have to look a certain way, and I draw a certain way. I never drew my character or any of that. I purposely did not do that. I wanted to do just different work. This last one is just cut paper. I had the idea, and I thought I just want to see if I can. That was kind of ironic that it was slice anyway. I'm going to slice it up the paper too. Yeah. But it was like, it was just, I don't know, it really, really changed the way I thought that I went about solving problems.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it changed everything. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, because you also find too that if you're doing client work that you're not really engaged with, and you do enough of that, you start to slow down. You start to do work that is not the best work. This was some other like influence, something that I think both of you just took and ran with. It was
the measure of satisfaction was not money, it wasn't likes, it wasn't exposure, it wasn't anything.
Yeah, no, there was no purpose for the project. No, yeah, exactly. Except we just wanted to do it. It was super fun. Yeah.
And I think, you know, if we talk about the idea of competition, I think that there was a sense of competition as it started, but it was incredible that this moved into connection. And I think that some of these images, just this, it's hopeful, I think, for all of us to think that there is maybe some kind of language out there that flows through all of us creatives that can create these sort of wonderful intersections and opportunities.
You know, there's another thing that's probably pretty obvious, but when you strip down time and you eliminate time out of the equation, and you have very little time, it forces you to rely heavily on the ideas because you can't rely too heavily on execution because you don't have time to execute. And so, for me, I felt like this gave me permission to think simpler, to execute simpler, and to be happy with those things and go, shit, I like the flaws in this. There's a sense of humanity to it.
Yeah, and it's funny, we're kind of talking a little bit about doing the next one where we have like 1 hour to do it.
Are we down to an hour? It's that low?
Yeah.
I think it'd be fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it really would be, and I think we'd have game. I think we could do
Yeah,
it.
so.
They're not going to stop. Okay, good news. There is going to be a book, and it's right now at the printer, I think February?
It's going to be out in February.
Yep. So we'll just take you a little bit through some of these images.
And I think we should note that for print, that they were how nice they were. Print magazine.
Absolutely, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
once you mention it.
Yeah.
We had some great colleagues in this project. We sent the idea this off to Debbie Millman. You all know who Debbie Millman is, and she's at Print, and she's a partner in Print magazine, and she said, we want to cover this with you. So they covered this every Monday. They posted on their blog, so maybe some of you had seen it there, and they posted on social and stuff, and that was very, very satisfying to feel that we had that sort of measure of support, and that it spoke to some of the principles that I think Print wants to put out there.
Yeah, I think
Thank you,
the
Brad.
great thing about the book as well is that you have the prompts you have the images without the prompts, and then you get all the you get the prompts and you get the sketches and then you get their statements. So we really get to dig in on this project and really start to get the value of the understanding and sort of the toil that you went through each week. There's, again, one thing about this is that there's an incredible amount of wit and humor, and that a lot of that came about because, again, you had no time, and you had to sort of look around you at all times. You also, both of you were traveling at different points.
Yeah, a couple of them I was traveling with Nat Geo or something, and so I'd have to figure out something on a location or something, or if I was traveling with my wife, I did one in Turkey, the balloons and stuff. So yeah.
So this is the end of the book, but also, you want to announce this, Craig?
Yeah, so our publisher, Goff Editions, has offered up a 25% discount, I think, on the book to all of you for the next couple days. So you can get it from them. There's a QR code if you want to pre-order it, do it. It's not available on Amazon or anything yet because it's just not out. It's not far enough out. So if you want to get it and get a good discount on it and get it early, there's your code.
Right. And we want to say thank you very much to everyone. Oh, sorry. They ended at 52 weeks, but they kept going. We're going to keep going. Because we need to say something else about one other rule these lunatics had, which was they never met until last night. True story.
Yeah, I mean, even got to the point where I had a show in L.A. and you wouldn't come because you said it would ruin our relationship, which is ruined now. But it's like,
It's over.
The cat's out of the bag, so I don't know. It's all going to go downhill now. So it's,
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joe, Craig, and Craig. That was an amazing, amazing story. So the bottom line is it's break time. There are refreshments outside, but don't go far. We are back at 5 with another presentation. All right, see you soon.